Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. It's in the description below. Your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any Watchbox platform. Please reach out to me directly. Email tmosso@thewatchbox.com to price this watch. Today, we are discussing the 2021 model launch. This is the Tudor Black Bay 58 Bronze, a timepiece that was an exclusive for Tudor boutiques. It's part of the Black Bay 58 series launched in 2018, so it's thinner and it's smaller. It's 39 millimeters in diameter. It's 12 millimeters thick. It's 47.8 millimeters from lug tip to lug tip, and it has a 20 millimeter spacing between the lugs. Now, in 2016, we got a Black Bay Bronze, but it was 43 millimeters in diameter, quite thick, and it came on a strap. Here we have a full rivet style simulated vintage bracelet, and we'll talk about that in a moment. But first, the fit. On my wrist, which is 16 centimeters in circumference, you can see the watch quite well. It is easily thin enough to slide underneath the cuff, and I have plenty of clearance on each side of my wrist, and you can really see that here as well as down the barrel. The cuff shot showing just how thin the watch is. This is a better match for a smaller wrist than the larger 41 and 43 millimeter Black Bays. Taking a quick look at the bracelet, you can see it is rivet style, but that's not actually how it's put together. Of course, it's a reference to the old rivet bracelets that would have been used on Rolex and Tudor Submariners in the 50s and 60s, because back then they shared cases and bracelets and clasps. But you can see today the removable links here are placed by screws, so you can size this fairly easily at home. For the first time, you have a quick adjustment system with 8 millimeters of total tool-free adjustment inside the clasp. And then we also have a little bit of a clamshell system that locks in place. If you take a quick look, you can see that there are actually ceramic pin snaps in there. So over time, the tolerances remain crisp since the bronze cannot aggress against the ceramic pin snap. So the tolerance itself is quite well protected. Now, you might be wondering, how does this little adjustment system work? A lot like glide lock on a Rolex clasp. You pull it up, you disengage it, and then you draw it out, and you have these little increments over 8 millimeters of total adjustment range. They're like little detents where you can stop the adjustment for fine-tuning the size and the fit, and it works quite well. It feels solid all of a piece and as crisp as the clasp. Taking a look at the case, you can see, as with the bracelet, and the bracelet has a nice little bit of taper here. There's a conforming link, but all of it, links, bracelet, clasp, and case, are in satin finish. A muted look is the right look for something this bright. Bronze can be a very bright metal, and satinating it gives it an understated look, befitting a watch that is designed to age and patina and uphold the vintage style in the Tudor collection. The Pelagos would be the more modern watch. We have these little bevels on the case flank, a reminder of that era when Tudor and Rolex shared cases, and the bevels were always done by hand on those watches. Now, these bevels aren't done by hand, but they're friendly and fun. These are long gone on Rolex watches, and I kind of enjoy having them here. Well, the case flank is sheer. The lugs are actually fairly pointy and tapered, so that's a good look. Graceful from the end. We have the Tudor Rose logo on the crown. It is a screw-down crown. The watch is 200 meters water-resistant. You see we have a no-guard profile like the original, for example, 7922, 7923, 7924 Tudor Submariners of the 50s. But that little rose logo went away in mid-1968. The in-house Tudor watches also have the shield logo on the dial, and that is the mid-1968 onward logo. So you have both the newer logo and the original logo on this watch. Now, the watch has a bezel that has a nice chunky click, distinct from what you'll find on a Rolex. It has a nice micro knurling too, which is really easy to grip. It has good bite if your hands are wet, sweaty, or gloved. We do have an anodized aluminum insert in brown bronze on top of the bezel. We have a little luminescent pearl, so you can line up the minute hand with the pearl, and now you've got a timing instrument. And of course, it's a quasi-explorer dial with Arabic numerals 3, 6, and 9, plus snowflake Submariner style hands at center. I like that you've got that count-up timer with the bezel. I find it more useful than a chronograph. You don't have the downstream service costs of a chrono, and they're just easier to read. We have a chapter ring in Brown's Brawn print. We have that same sort of rose gold gilt style printing all over the dials. The hands are rose gold plated, and as you can see, all the indices and numerals are applique, so an upscale look that you don't find on vintage watches. Now, here we don't have a display case back, and I'm happy about that. Last year, Tudor started putting those on the Black Bays, and frankly, I'm not sold. The movement inside is extremely impressive from a technical standpoint. It is not beautiful. So what we have here is manufacturer calibration caliber MT5400, a movement that was built specifically for the Black Bay 58. So whereas the standard MT5600 in a regular Black Bay is about 6.5 millimeters thick, this is 4.99, which makes for a thinner case, and they even made a smaller diameter, so they built a movement specifically for this series. Technically, it's identical to its bigger brother. Automatic winding, 70-hour power reserve, hacking seconds, chronometer certified, and anti-magnetic silicon hairspring. It also features a 27-joule architecture and a full balance bridge with a free spring index for precise adjustment and shock tolerance. And all of that, and it is made by COSC, which is a joint venture that Tudor primarily owns, and that provides Tudor movements. You'll also occasionally find COSC movements in, for example, Chanel and Breitling. So this watch has everything going for it. Quantum leap forward in Black Bay clasp quality, and finally, a wearable bronze Black Bay with a full bracelet. Reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details.